Hello BookTube! It is Amanda again, and today I have been tagged by Elizabeth Schubert to do the Olympic book tag. This tag was originally created by RJ at TheSecretStacks. I've seen several people do these videos so far and I've really liked everyone's answers, so I'm really enthused to finally participate. The first question is opening ceremony. What book did you think had an incredible opening? For this I chose The Name of the Wind. I didn't just like the first few sentences of this book. I really enjoyed that first sort of intro. So I'm going to read just the first part of this to you. It was night again. The Waystone Inn lay in silence, and it was a silence of 3 parts. The most obvious part was a hollow, echoing quiet, made by things that were lacking. And then he goes to describe 2 more versions of silence. The next question is the games. What is your favorite fictional competition? I actually don't read a lot of books that have games or themes around competition unless it's nonfiction, and I don't think that's really what this question is about. My automatic answer, like most people, would be Quidditch or the Triwizard Tournament, but I got to thinking about this after I was tagged about what would be the game that has really stuck with me the longest, and for this I decided to go with The Long Walk by Richard Bachman or Stephen King. This was the first horror-related book that I read that really it sort of changed how I focused on anxiety and more of a psychological horror. Everything I had read up to that point was very much sort of slasher or zombie related, and that still, I read this book I think when I was 13, somewhere around that. I got really into Stephen King when I was 13, 14, and 15, so I don't know when along that time frame this was, but it's been a long time, we'll just say that. And this book has still kind of stuck with me. So for this, a game, I would say The Long Walk. The next question is the original. The modern games are based on the original Greek competition. What is your favorite book based on a classic? And my answer's going to be very different than everyone else's, because I'm gonna go with Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Yeah. I know that the monster mashups aren't super popular on BookTube, but I really enjoyed that. I liked Pride and Prejudice. That was one of my favorite Austen novels, and then I'm also a huge dystopian, apocalypse, zombie, viral outbreak, basically Into the World and Nom Your Face fan. So when I heard that the book had been re-released and had been edited to include zombies, I was all over it, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very fun, light, just great read for just the idea of Jane Austen's world with zombies. I really liked it. I know that's going to be an unpopular answer. I did not like Dawn of the Dreadfuls. They tried to recreate a prequel without using Austen as a frame, and I didn't like that. But unpopular answer, but that's what I'm going with. Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. Question number 4. The Eternal Flame. What is one ship that you won't let die, even after the books made it clear it was never going to happen? I don't do this. I'm not gonna have an answer for this question. Number 5. Gymnastics. What's a book that had so many twists and turns it left your head spinning, but in a good way? I wasn't really sure what to do for this one either. I ended up deciding on The Keeper of Lost Causes, the Department Q Novel 1. I really enjoyed this book. It wasn't that it was unpredictable, and it wasn't that it had a lot of sort of surprise twists like the question sort of dictates, but it's more that the perspective angle for this was new to me, in that in most multi-perspective novels that I had read up to this point, you see things from a different angle, but the knowledge that all the characters have is very similar. So it's more of an internal motivation element than it is a knowing things because you are a different person within the novel. And this was one of the first novels that I read that, as a reader, you knew things because you've seen events through different characters that other characters didn't, and it made their actions it enraged me. And I read this book rapidly. I think I stayed up to finish it because I couldn't wait to see, does he find out? Does this overlap? Is he gonna know? How are they gonna cover this up? And because of that, I would say The Keeper of Lost Causes, the Department Q novel, would be my answer. Question number 6. The Controversial Judge. What's a book that you have a totally different opinion about than most other people? This was an easy answer for me, and that is The Catcher the RYE. I have tried to read this. I read it completely through once, and then I've tried to read it again years later. So the first reading, I think I was in my mid-teens, and it wasn't for a class, but it was a recommendation by a family friend, and I really did not like it. And then I tried to read it again when I was in my mid-20s. I was moving for grad school, and more friends kept recommending this book, and I know that the general populace tends to really like it, but I really hated it. I hated it on a level that I don't think I've ever hated another novel. And I plan on trying to reread it again now that I am in my 30s. It's been about a decade since I tried to read this last, but in general, one attempt was a definite no. Second attempt, I got disgusted. And hopefully the third, now that I have more outside perspective, will be more positive. But growing up, I related a lot with the character and his environment. I grew up in the rural South, so it made it a very difficult novel for me. So on that note, I'm going to reread it and see if my opinion still stands, but the teenage me and the 25-year-old me did not care for it. Question number 7. Beach volleyball. What is your favorite fictional duo? Sherlock and Watson. Yeah. Question 8. Weightlifting. What is the most massive book on your shelf? This is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I think I have talked about this several times in other videos, so I'm not going to belabor it here, but it is massive. Question number 9. What is a book that you tore through with world record speed? That would be One Second After. That book terrified me, but it was the first novel that I read where the end of the world happened and it didn't wipe out a huge portion of the populace. There are other books though that I have stayed up to read and that I have read, really rapidly. Harry Potter, I used to stay up for all the midnight premieres once I got into that series. I just recently stayed up and started and finished Dawn by Octavia Butler in a matter of an evening. So I would also, I guess, include those. Question number 10. Synchronized Swimming. What is a book series that you kept reading even though you didn't have any idea why? The Sookie Stackhouse novels. I don't know why I read those. I enjoyed part of them. I really liked True Blood at the time, and it had just came out on HBO. I was really into the series, so were a lot of my friends. We used to watch the series together, and one of my friends had started reading the Sookie Stackhouse novels, and I'm like, sure, if it's based on a book, I'll definitely want to pick that up. And the first two were really bad, but I really liked the additional elements that it added to the world. And then I think I ended up reading 11 of them, 9. It was an odd number, right around 10. And I don't know why. The last 3 I didn't care for. Question number 11. The Tortured Fan. What fictional family, group, nation, organization do you irrationally root for, no matter how many times they break your heart? I don't really know if I have a real answer for this one either. I'm going to go with the Stark family from Game of Thrones, just because it seems like they've had a lot of negative things happen to their family through the majority of the books, and I really want to see them sort of redeemed and be able to sort of take revenge for some of the things that have happened. Question number 12. Closing Ceremony. What book had an ending that just blew your mind? I actually have a different answer for this. I have not heard this one come up yet, to my knowledge, and that's I Am Legend. I liked the concept of this. I loved the everyday person sort of taking an investment in his own survival, but also a curiosity of how the world became this. And the ending for this novel was completely different than the Will Smith film adaptation, I mean, completely and utterly different. And it comes back and ties back into what a legend is and how being different than what is considered normal at the time is scary, no matter what that difference is. And this ending, it was so simple, and it was sort of, you know, you sort of saw it coming, but I bawled like a baby. And I very rarely cry when I read, but this ending, not only has it stuck with me for years, I read this book a long time ago. I think I was in my teens the first time I read it, and then I reread it again in my mid to late 20s, and it hits me every single time. The final question is the relay race. Who would you tag? If you have been wanting to do this and have not been personally tagged, consider yourself tagged so you can feel free to film to your heart's content. And that is my Olympic tag. I hope you enjoyed this and that you film your own. And if you do, put a link down below and let me know what you think about my answers. I actually had to think a lot about several of these, and I feel a little bad that I still didn't get the shipping question, but every time that comes up in every tag, the answer is going to be I don't have an answer. So you've been forewarned. I will see you again later, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye.